The question is, if they find things and they have to like repaint everything,
Right.
then, I mean, do they have to vacate the house for the whole time, or do they live there while this is happening?
So it depends where they start. It depends on what toxins and where they're going to start. So to prevent cross-contaminating things, if you don't start, let's say, at the attic cavity and you work your way down,
Right.
so to speak, you can cross-contaminate things, and then you're not doing any good at all.
Right.
So it's a very, like I said, it's a very methodical process. But to get it, I know everyone is trying to. They need to be back in their homes as quickly as possible.
Get back to normal.
Everything needs to be back to January 6th. And I understand that, the day before everything happened. Like, that's where everyone wants it. But.
You mean before Trump got elected? Sorry.
But if you want to. The way to do it right, though, is that there's only one way to do it right.
Okay.
It's going to take time, though. But we move as quickly as possible. We have teams of people. Like, if Jay's roof, when I look at it after I do his house assessment, if it has damage, the first thing I do is get people out here the next day to tarp it. Just in case if something's even if it's not leaking, but just to tarp it. So that's my first step. Before the hygienist gets out here the next day at the same time, I get industrial air scrubbers out here and set them up throughout the house, all throughout the property of everywhere in the house, 2 to 3, depending on the house size. It just depends. So things have to take time. If we have to repaint things, and we're gonna have to move things around, and we're gonna have to go to work. It's gonna take a little time. It's gonna be a couple weeks, possibly. It just depends on the damage and what we have to do. But to do it properly, to make your home safe to normal living conditions without the chance of getting sick later down the road and getting diseases from these things that you can't see or smell, that's what it's going to take. And I understand everyone.
And you haven't seen the inside of her place yet.
No, I have not.
Yeah.
No, I just met her outside the door. And she said, no, I refer you to Jay. I was like, oh, I've met Jay, so perfect. And so that worked out.
Well, you've seen Jay's house.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Well, no, but it's large, and it would be quite the.
Yeah, that's what I said
quite a project.
For residential. Just the swabbing with the industrial hygienist is going to take half a day. 6 hours probably, maybe. For this place, maybe a full day, honestly.
Yeah. Your place is what, 1,000 square feet or
That's
something?
what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that big.
Yeah, and you're looking at like 2,500 to 3,000 here, right?
3,200.
32, yeah.
Yeah, probably a little bit more.
Yeah, honestly. And so it's just, this is the process, though, to do it the right way.
But the whole time you're talking to us about what you need to do, what the time frame's going to be, so we can make arrangements to accommodate whatever needs to be done.
Correct. So I talk with our Genesis, and tell him, look, man, he's got a lot of artwork and a lot of valuable things in here that we can't just go in there, gung ho. Like, we have to do this in a very specific way to not mess up any of his stuff, because there are so many things. But it's not like they need to test every little thing. It's your attic cavity, it's your crawl space, all of your windows, all of your doors. Then it's certain items as well, though. But it's not like they're going to come swab with alcohol on your precious artworks and, let's say, oxidize them and change the color of them.
Right.
That's not what's going to happen. But it's the interior, it's the exterior. And it's everything that they can touch and be able to test,
Don't look at me that way.
It's not.
Sorry.
Too late.
Thank God I didn't get you on video with that look.
Too late.
Back to where I left off originally, though, unless you have another question in regards to what we just talked about.
No, it's just he knows my paranoia about the cats and stuff. Yeah. It's not that easy for me to.
We schedule around you, But if you want it done fast, then we got to make arrangements. Say, hey, we can be here this day.
Yeah.
Can you make arrangements?
Right.
Or what day can you make arrangements for you and your cats and your, taking care of your mom and everything like that?
Right.
we work with you. You know, we're not trying to force it down your throat. You know,
Okay.
but to do it right, we just have to schedule accordingly
Yeah.
with you and the property owner, everybody, and that's what it comes down to. You know, if it's very toxic, it's going to be broken into certain phases. Is the way I would put it. You know, painting would be last, but you know, the certain testing and everything's first, and then we go from there. And once the protocol's writ, that's how we're going to do it. But we can break that protocol up, like for a very extensive square footage home like this with lots of things that are able to be damaged. You know, that's where we start tiptoeing into it. And so it might drag it out, but at least it's done right. You know, and once it's done, you get a clean bill of health. You know,
because then they come back out and they test again.
We pay for them to test again and make sure that we did our cleaning job right, because that's all ours is. Ours is our contingency agreement is specifically off of the insurance what they accept for the process, and that's why we get the lab scientific data results and say they can't say anything. They said this is how it has to be done, and that's it. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And so they can't rebuttal because we're using a public adjuster. And once we have a public adjuster involved, they really don't. They know what's up once we have that guy involved. Then we have a law firm to make sure everything is being done legally. All of that is included in what we provide with our company. No one is doing what we're doing, and we're eating a lot of it up front because we want to do it right. And that's literally what it comes down to. Back to where the first video left off was the third pot of monies owed to you, which is if you had to leave and go stay in a hotel like Mr. J did, that gets the PA battles for your smoke damage, and with the hygienicist report, battles you for your personal property once you itemize everything in that aspect, to make sure you get paid for everything that if some things have to be thrown away. They're non-salvageable items is what it's called. Non-salv is what we call them. And they have to be thrown away. You have to be paid for those. If you don't want to replace them, that's totally up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do, you know, or if something is said to be thrown away, but it has a lot of sentimental value, like 100-year-old quilt, then that's your call. I'm not going to force you. It's not in my place. That is your personal property monies that are paid to you, and you can do whatever you want with them. What I've seen more, like I think I brought it up in the first video, you know, I've seen most of the homeowners using some of those monies not to replace items that they really didn't need. It's kind of like a early spring cleaning. There's a little silver lining in some of this. You got to find it where you can, even though it's ridiculous. But
yeah, because I was going to be on the next season of Hoarders.
So, you know, but we're seeing more than anything, they're using a lot of the personal property monies to offset their deductible. And then you're not out of any monies, and you might actually have monies left over. And then we make sure the public adjuster also takes care of the ALE of him living in a dang hotel for a month now, you know?
In Bali.
At the
Close.
At the, I don't know, at the Ritz-Carlton. I don't know.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Yeah, literally. So I can't even imagine that bill.
Yeah, no, neither can my wife or I.
Yeah, but insurance is, insurance has to pay you for that, though. You had to leave because this was a dangerous place to live in. And so before you can go back to normal living conditions, technically, that's what you had to do. You had to do what you had to do, and that's where your ALE comes in, and that's where our public adjuster and our lawyer, to make sure everything's legal, comes into play and goes to bat for you. You don't have to deal with it. They deal with your insurance. And it's not a battle when it comes down to what we do in smoke damage remediation, because we both use the same programs that insurance uses. It's called Xactimate. So the cost is the cost. We use it's not like we're battling them, saying nitpicking this and that, because if you did it on your own, that's what you'd have to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a public adjuster, you'd be having to battle them for months by yourself. That's why you get a public adjuster. That's why we use these guys. These guys are, you know, they're all over the nation, and they are the best of the best. And they work so swiftly with you, and they handle all of it. there's no taking out of work phone calls, on the phone with 2 hours a day for your insurance every day. They don't do that. Once you sign up with us and our public adjuster and our law firm, everything's handled by them, and then they just relay it back to you.
And there's no cost to me.
No,
the homeowner.
No, the percentages that they get, everything is out of the insurance claim of the smoke damage claim. That's how we get all of this done. Nothing's out of pocket for you, though. The maximum out of pocket is your deductible, and I just say
Right.
that would be your maximum because you can offset it. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yes. Any other questions?
No.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.